Alright, just this quick thing before the video starts. Fuck you, YouTube. Okay, now the video is demonetized. Probably. Maybe. Um, well, now at least Copper can't say that's family friendly, so I'm just gonna throw in a few words here. First of all, this is for people, 13 and up, so I don't get, abused by Copper. And also, fuck you, YouTube. Fuck you.
Hey guys, Anime E here, and this is part 4 to What If Deku Had Koro Sensei's powers? This was requested a lot, and I'm sorry that it had to come out today, but I had to do things and I couldn't record that day. So just a few things before we get into the video. One, today is my birthday actually. So yeah, I'll be turning 15. I probably don't sound like it, but yeah, I'll be turning 15. And not to mention, you guys should see somebody's comment right here on screen right now. Their name is NoCap, and he actually suggested me a what if. And guys, follow the way of NoCap. I want you guys to suggest things to me, like what ifs, because it's not fun if I'm the only one that's coming up with ideas. Plus, I want to see what you guys are interested in, because, that's what makes you stay. So, if the mic quality is terrible right now, I'm sorry, I'm in the closet. This is where I record when I can't record outside the closet. So, yeah. Alright, I think that does all of it. So, yeah, please suggest me what ifs. Just do it in the comments, What if Naruto had the Sharingan? I don't know, something like that. Just suggest me what ifs. Deku what ifs, Naruto what ifs, Assassination Classroom what ifs, just mostly those, because so far, those are the only anime I've watched. Sorry, guys. Though I am starting Bleach and Death Note, so yeah. Okay, well, out with this intro. Let's get into the what if. Hey guys, Anime E here, and welcome to part 4. Okay, so last time we left off, Deku almost killed All Might and successfully put himself in a coma due to using One for All Full Cowling Multiple Clone Gods, which I'm going to shorten later to another name, I just have to think of it. This was his most powerful attack for now. So, yeah. That's coming up soon. Part 5. Okay, but seriously though. All Might, after Deku leaves the hospital, All Might visits him in one of Deku's training areas. And Deku is surprised because All Might only visits when he wants to teach Deku some new moves or another way to use One for All. So, All Might approaches Deku, and he says that he wants to sit down and have a chat with him. They sit down on a nearby log, and All Might just comes down and says it. He says, "Deku, what the hell did you hit me with?" Deku smiles and tells him his name for it, which was, you guys know, I just said it like 15 seconds ago. I'm not saying that so many times. And All Might's face changes to horror when he hears the explanation of A, how it's performed, B, what he does, and C, how Deku came up with it. Guys, you have to realize what All Might is hearing. He's hearing Deku. Deku, a kid that he thought was like a great hero. He may not have been all the way there, but he definitely had things he needed to become a hero. And he's hearing this, how Deku spent days perfecting it and put himself in comas multiple times while trying to perfect it. And All Might's face just changed to horror, guys. You also gotta remember, this attack left All Might on the verge of death. Combined with Bakugo's explosion, he almost died. Like, if Recovery Girl didn't get to him in time, he would have died right then and there. But you gotta understand how big the situation is. No one has ever gotten even that close to killing All Might. And All Might is scared. And rightly so. This kid that he's training to use One for All hasn't even mastered over 80% of it. And he can already kill him. That's huge. So, anyway, afterwards, he tells Deku to never use that attack again. Not just because of the deadliness it can put on someone, but because of the massive strain it puts on the body, aka the being in a coma after you use it. Deku says he can't promise that, but he will only use it if it's absolutely necessary. All Might comes to a conclusion, says fine, you can do that, and leaves. Fast forward to next week in class, and Aizawa announces the quirk training camp, and everyone's excited, except Deku. I'll get into why later. Alright, skipping forward to when everybody just got off the bus and is being introduced to Pixie Bob. After introductions are over with Pixie Bob, she destroys the ground under the students, and everybody falls except for Deku. So, guys, there's something I haven't told you yet. Remember when Deku was training with Gran Torino, he thought that he was going to learn some new moves using his speed? Well, he did, and I forgot to mention it. After seeing Gran Torino, the jet hero, who's basically able to sort of hover using his jets on low, he picked up that. And he now flies pretty much everywhere, or at least hovers. He kind of just hovers everywhere. So Deku almost never uses his legs anymore. He rarely walks. Because he's mastered it to a point where if he uses a certain amount, it has no drain or effect on his stamina at all. And he's pretty much mastered that all the way until he goes up to Mach 1. So if he goes up to Mach 1 or higher, it will start draining his stamina. However, Deku still trains the hell out of his legs because he doesn't want to be weak. He wants to make sure that his kicks can break somebody's ribs, which is not good, but still, just in case you need to break some all-for-one ribs. Foreshadowing? Maybe. Wait till part 5 gets out. Oh my god. Okay. So, while Pixie Bob just destroys the ground, Deku is just there floating. And Deku thinks in his mind, should I go down there and help my classmates, or just fly to the end, since I can see it? Deku decides to just fly to the end, but in order to make up for him abandoning his classmates, he decides to cook dinner for all of them with the Pussycats. Because that was their name, the Wild Wild Pussycats. So you're going to have to get used to me saying that name a lot. Well, anyway, with his speed, dinner is done way before they get there. So he just keeps it over, the fire to keep all their food warm. This is when he meets Koda instead of later, since he's already there. He meets Koda, but this time, instead of Deku getting, punched in the nuts, Deku instead was able to see this coming, use his speed, and before Koda can even think, he's behind him, pinned to the ground. Yeah, Deku didn't really take nice to being almost assaulted like that, so he's a little bit more rough with Koda in this one. So, yeah. That's that. But anyway, this is a little bit after Class 1A arrives, and they're pissed off that Deku just flew over everything and left him to do all the work. But they kind of got over and forgave Deku after tasting his dinner. Deku is a really good cook. Okay, at least in this what if. Why? Because I wanted to. Guys, you know what I said in part 4, right? Like, get used to me skipping a lot to just the events. Well, that's what I'm going to be doing. So, prepare for a lot of skipping forward. Anyway, a few hours later, so yeah, skipping forward to the pool incident. Minetta's climbing up the wall, and Deku, before Koda can even stop him, Deku just looks at Minetta, points his finger, and fires a Delaware smash, knocking Minetta out and making him fall. Deku then catches him with his speed and puts Minetta back into the rooms. He's not getting any more pool time. But right before he does that, he wakes up Minetta, and he tells him that if he ever pulls that again, he will snap his spine. Now, Deku just says this just to scare Minetta, because Minetta knows that he can do that. Like, literally give Deku 2 seconds, he can break anybody's spine. So Minetta's scared, and he promises to never do that again. And after that, Deku puts him back to bed, and the rest go back to having their fun pool time. Next morning, Class 1A wakes up and does the ball throw like in Canon. Bakugo, like in Canon, gets 5, 10 extra meters. And, Deku, on the other hand, everybody was surprised that Bakugo barely learned, but they weren't Well, no, they were surprised when they saw Deku's ball throw. Remember in part 1 when I said Deku's ball just barely broke the atmosphere and even then just tumbled right back down? Well, this throw, however, using his base strength, which can crush metal at this point, alright, he's picking up cars. Plus Mach speed, so he's really able to wind up and transfer that to the ball. Plus full cal, plus using the strength of one for all. Deku's ball is outside the solar system when he throws it. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that our boy Deku has grown a little bit. Well, anyway, onto the actual quirk training that happens about 2 hours later. Tiger comes up and does his original speech like in canon. Tiger's one of the pussycats, and he asks anybody with a power augmenting quirk, aka one for all, to fight him. And Deku fights him just like in canon. However, with Deku's speed and training over the years, Deku absolutely incinerates Tiger. It's not even close. Like, Tiger is now bloodied and bruised and probably needs an ice bath. Not ice on his head, no, ice bath. And Deku didn't even go all out. This is 25% of full cal mixed with his speed after about 10 seconds. Now, after seeing this one-sided murder in Deku's favor, the other Wild Pussycats are scared to the bone. I mean, one of their top assets just got completely destroyed by this little kid. This kid has no experience. At least they don't know that he has experience. And one of their top supporters has been a hero for years. Just got wiped. Deku wiped the floor with him. Well, anyway, after that little incident, they tell Deku that they have nothing to teach him. Like, literally, they can't teach him anything. Because he just took out one of their most powerful assets. They can't teach him anything about quirk training. For all they know, Deku's been quirk training since he was born. But yeah, so they tell him that since his quirk's really dangerous, it just knocked out somebody. They tell him, hey, we have nothing to teach you, so whatever training you've been using to get yourself to this point, we're gonna need you to go out to the woods a little bit further from the kids and use that there. Deku is annoyed about this because this is the second person who was told that they were gonna help him train. He showed off a bit of his power, and they said they have nothing to train him. First was Gran Torino, now them. So Deku sighs and walks off, and after Deku leaves, everyone is just so out of it. They're just like everyone pretty much shits themselves after they see Deku just pretty much wreck one of the pussycats. So yeah. And the reason they're so surprised about this, because the Wild Pussycats don't know about this, but UA students, the Class 1A students, they do know. They are completely shocked, except for Bakugo and Todoroki. They kind of expected this because Kid literally almost killed All Might. Tiger wasn't nothing to him. So yeah. Anyway, fast forwarding to 4 p.m., it's time to eat dinner. Deku decides in order to make up for obliterating their teacher, he cooks dinner again for everyone, even Koda. But he sees Koda leaving before he eats. So Deku uses his camouflage ability. Remember, he got that in part 3? So yeah. And follows Koda to give him some curry. Since Koda seemed to be sneaking off, he decided to, use camouflage so he isn't detected. So after they get to the mountain cliff, Deku appears and asks Koda, hey, you should probably eat. It's not good to go a whole day on nothing. Koda gets mad that he found his spot and he asks Deku to leave. Now Deku stays because he wants to know why Koda's been acting so sour towards him and the rest of Class 1A and 1B ever since he got here. Now remember, Deku's no idiot. He's really smart in this what if. So he immediately guessed, hey, why are you so mean to us? Is it because of quirks or something? He literally asks him, does it have something to do with quirks? Now, remember, since Deku stopped Mineta before Koda did, Koda never fell, Deku never catched him, and Koda never passed out. Which means Deku never tucked him in the bed, so that means the Pussycats never told him about what happened to his parents. So Deku has no idea what happened to his parents. So he's not going to be able to have that information and immediately figure out, okay, it's his parents, he hates quirks. So yeah. So Koda gets a little bit upset because Deku pretty much guessed the quirk thing right and asked him to leave again. This time Deku, annoyed and doesn't want to have to go through this anymore, leaves his curry on the ground but stays close using camouflage. Just to see if Koda does anything weird. This is about the time Dabi and Toga arrive. However, they don't attack yet, just like in canon. You just see that shot of them over, the quirk training camp just watching. Alright, are you ready for another skip? No? Well, I'm doing one anyway. Skipping forward to the villain attack. Yes, this was a pretty big skip. I skipped breakfast, I skipped lunch, and now it's just nighttime. The first villains, well, I want to say this. Guys, this attack is going to be a little bit different than in canon. Why? Because it's my what if, and I decide. But actually, I do have a reason for it. You'll see at the end, and in part 5. And I'm really hyping up part 5. Hit the like button, actually. Show me and comment. Comment the what ifs. Well, anyway, this attack is going to be way different, so let's get into it. First things first, that's going to be different. The villains are after Deku, not Bakugo. Why? Because Deku is a much more valuable asset in this instance. Now, I know in canon they kidnapped Bakugo because they thought that they could change him into a villain because he acted crazy at the sports festival, which makes sense. But their plan is still to get Deku. However, if they can't get Deku, or if they find out that, they just not going to get any luck with it, their plan is to capture Bakugo. So anyway, skipping forward, Deku finds Koda and meets Muscular while trying to rescue him. Muscular then reveals the plan is to capture Deku and Bakugo. Now hearing this, Deku rushes Koda out of there and uses a new move that he learned during the training camp that he invented. This one's called Speed Bliss Infinite Lynchi. Now if you remember, one of his old attacks was One for All Full Cowling Lynchi, where Deku would give his opponent 1,000 cuts in a few seconds. However, this one just uses his raw speed. How he uses this is Deku grabs his katana, and the reason why it's called Infinite Lynchi is because he keeps slicing until his opponent is nothing but small meat and bone cubes on the ground. This attack does 100 cuts a second, and it takes a full 30 seconds to kill Muscular. However, Deku, even though it's called Infinite Lynchi, which is supposed to be soon, but Deku's limit is about 5 minutes. Just keep going, just slicing for 5 minutes. Remember, this does 100 cuts a second. So at 5 minutes, that's a lot of stamina and a lot of cuts he can do. But he can only use this for about 5 minutes every week. It's that OP. So after witnessing this from afar, because Deku got Koda out of there, Koda has a change of heart just like in canon. And since Deku didn't break both of his arms and use 1,000,000% of One for All, he's fine, and he can do a lot more now. Now, this is when Spinner and Magni, who fucking cares, and filler characters, like seriously, who likes these guys? Nah, I'm just kidding. I actually like Spinner. And Magni's quirk is pretty cool. But these fights, I'm going to list some of the fights that are going to go with the same as canon. This is going to be Dabi versus Aizawa, Tetsu versus Mustard, that Colonel guy, and Uraraka and Sue versus Toga. Those fights are going to go the same as in canon. Now you notice, all these fights are fights without Deku, because Deku's only going to be doing the fights as in canon. He's not going to be rushing around at Mach speed helping everybody. I'm sorry guys, that would have been a great way to do this, but there are some complications with that one. As in, it'll kind of break what I have planned for the plot. Alright. So after Deku defeats Muscular, he rushes down to find Spinner and the Pussycats fighting it up. When Deku gets there, however, he turns the tide of the battle immediately and just starts bullying Spinner and Magni. Just zipping around, slicing, cutting, punching, throwing smashes everywhere. Detroit Smash, Delaware Smash, Texas. It's nuts. It's a one-sided massacre in Deku's favor. And the only reason, and I know what some of you are thinking, couldn't Spinner slice him with his huge sword? Or couldn't Magni magnetize him? Magnetism is great, but when your opponent is 20 times the speed of sound, at least, magnetism ain't gonna do crap. So yeah. Once he defeats Magni and Spinner, he tells the Pussycats to do the same thing as in canon, let everybody know that the villains are after Bakugo and himself, but Deku can take care of himself. So he just tells them to let them know that the villains are after Bakugo. Now, once Spinner and Magni are dealt with and he told the Pussycats, he rushes over to the Moonfish fight, where he sees Bakugo and Todoroki and Tokoyami, you know, the bird guy, trying to kill Magni. Now, once he gets there, he tells Bakugo, you know, the thing that they're both targets. Bakugo mad on something. I don't know why Bakugo's like this. He just says as usual, shut up, Deku. Now, Deku would normally speed blitz Bakugo for even thinking of stuff like that, because remember, I told you, Deku's different in this what if. He doesn't like being disrespected. But, however, he tells Bakugo, you know you're lucky there's a villain right in front of us. He pulls out his sword, and he starts using Speed Blitz Infinite Link-Chi. It takes a full minute to kill Moonfish just because his teeth keep growing and growing and growing and growing. Because he wanted to take out the teeth first, then start slicing Moonfish. So it took a full minute to kill him using Link-Chi. Now, this is because just like Muscular, the quirk keeps growing. His teeth keep growing, just like Muscular's muscle fibers keep growing. So, after it's over, that's a minute and 30 seconds of using Speed Link-Chi. He only has 3 minutes and 30 seconds of that left. Because remember, his limit is 5 minutes from now. Now this is when Mr. Compress shows up and captures Tokoyami. And tries to get Bakugo, but Deku keeps rushing around at Mach speed, moving Bakugo without his consent. Because you know, you don't really need to ask for consent when the other option is get captured. So yeah. Soon after, Deku decides that the best thing to do would be to get him and Bakugo away, far away as possible from here. So what he decides to do is, using Mach 10 and the ability to fly, combines them together and flies Bakugo back home within the span of like 30 seconds. Once he's back home, Bakugo's obviously really mad that Deku kind of just let him leave the fight. He tells him to let me go back. Deku says no, and he leaves Bakugo. Now I know what you're thinking, Bakugo just uses explosions to get back. Guys, Bakugo's strong, but keep using your quirk for like, well, that would be like hours away. Hours is not something that Bakugo can do. Okay, you can tell me all you want about Bakugo, but if you can tell me that he can keep himself levitating up and moving for over an hour using his explosions, I'm not even gonna argue with you on that. That's an obvious no. Alright then. Shoes, stop. You're ruining the recording. Okay then. So when Deku flies back to fight the villains, remember he's been gone for about a minute, which is very big. And you'll see why in a second. So when Deku gets back to fight the villains, he hears that the villains took Todoroki, but left Tokoyami. And that's the twist I was talking about. Instead of Bakugo, it's Todoroki this time. Because they decided they couldn't get Deku or Bakugo, Todoroki was the next best option. Also, they would use him for ransom. Whatever. Plus, they know that he has a little bit of a tragic backstory with Endeavor, since, you know, that was on the sports festival. Deku still did that speech about how it's his quirk. So, yeah. So they decided, Todoroki, we could turn him into a villain. Maybe take a little bit longer than Bakugo, but we could turn him. So anyway, Deku is upset, and rightly so, because if he hadn't left, he probably could get Todoroki. But at the same time, he's proud because he got Bakugo out of there, who was their main target. Well, anyway, that's where I'm going to end part 4, guys. Part 5 won't be out on Monday, most likely. It'll probably be out on Tuesday. If it is going to be out on Monday, great. Monday, great. But if it isn't, it's probably going to be Monday. No, Tuesday. It's probably not going to be out tomorrow, but it will be out on Tuesday. For sure. Anyway, guys, see you tomorrow. Anime E, signing off. Bye!